everybody, it's Tim, and tonight I'm going to show you how I make very simple 5-gallon batches of Homebucha or kombucha, whatever you'd like to call it. So here are the ingredients. This is what I'm drinking right now. This is a pineapple and mint grown in the garden, and a home sourced kombucha made with a home propagated SCOBY, and we'll get to that later. But the ingredients that you need are water. I've already got it going over here. Getting that up to 190 degrees so that it makes a nice tea. And then I use bulk tea. There's black tea here, green tea from the local Indian market. I'm going to make a green tea one tonight. So that's the first step, is just to make the tea. It's a sweetened tea, so it's 66 grams of tea and 5 cups of sugar dissolved into 2 gallons of water. And then I will dilute that and cool it simultaneously into my fermentation bucket. So if you have those ingredients, just a brew bucket, you've got a pot, you've got brewing like hops bags, and if you got sugar and tea, you can make kombucha as long as you get a SCOBY. And I've got lots of that to share. So it's really very easy to make. So I'm just going to go ahead and weigh out the 66 grams of tea and the 5 cups of sugar and put it into the hot water and bring it up to the 190 degrees. Okay, so I'll check back with you in a minute. Okay, so I've weighed out the tea. I put 80 grams this time because this is a little bit more loose. The black tea is more like finely ground, so I'm just winging it, but it should be fine. It's home brewing, so it doesn't matter. I'm putting it into a bag, dousing it into the water, and just going to check and see where we're at. To 121, 122. That'll get up quickly, and then I'm just going to do 5 cups of sugar and dissolve it. Okay. And I'm just going to stir this around to dissolve it so it doesn't scald on the bottom of the pot. And let it just get up to temperature. So once it gets to 190, about 190, that's good brewing temperature for tea. Then I'm just going to let it sit for about 20 minutes. Okay, so this is that black tea I was showing you before. So when I've used it before, I've made it with 66 grams. The last time I made a green tea, I think it was a little bit weak. So that's why I'm doing 80 grams of the green tea. I'm just eyeballing it because that's a little leafier than this. Okay, this is almost like pencil shavings. Okay, and let's check the temperature. It is like 170 now, so it should just be a couple more minutes. And then we're going to steep it for 20 minutes. So I'll come back after it's done steeping. Okay, we've got temperature. We're just a little over 190, so I'm just going to cut that off. And then 20 minutes. Oh, here, like that. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. You wouldn't know that, but I do. So there we are. This is the other kombucha. It's a little darker, a little hazier, but this is the one from the black tea, and it has just mint in it. So it's a nice, tasty, non-adult beverage. It's perfect. So anyway, after 20 minutes, this has dropped to about 176. And then overnight, I cooled down 3 gallons and a little bit more of water in my fermentation bucket, which I have over here in the sink to protect me from spills. And so it should be about 37. Yeah, it's about 37 still. And so I'm just going to put the hot water into that and see if I get close to the pitching temperature. If I'm lucky, it'll be between 70 and 80 and it's ready to go. If it needs to be cooled down a little bit more, I'll just take it outside and put it in the pool, but we'll see here. So, Logan had a good idea to use 2 tongs, but I'm just going to stick with 1. And put that here, and I'm going to attempt to put this hot into the cold without burning myself or ruining our kitchen. So here we go. Oh, I need the lid off. That would help. All right, and so we're right at 5 gallons, which is perfect. My experience has been, like, after it's done, you get pretty much all of the liquid, save for the little top layer of the SCOBY. So you really, I should end up with just enough to fill a keg at the end of the process. So we're going to see here what our temperature is. And give it a stir. It's at 83, which is probably okay. Saying 86. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to wait, because I'm going to wait till it's under 80, just because I really don't want to stress out the SCOBY. So we'll be back in a little bit, but I'm just going to stick it on the top step of the pool, and it should cool down pretty quickly. It's 69 degrees out there now, so I may have to wait about 45 minutes. Okay, so it's been just about 45 minutes, so that was pretty close. So I took a temperature reading. It's down to right at 80, so that's fine. And we're ready to turn the sweet tea into kombucha. Now, the key to this, and the biggest difference between this and beer, is you have sugar and some flavoring, but you are not going to introduce yeast to turn that into alcohol. What you're going to do is you're going to introduce what's called a SCOBY. That's a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Okay? I don't know exactly what that means, but when you end up with the product, it retains some of the sweetness from the sugar, but it also has some sourness. So I think that it ferments, but it sours too. So it has a very slightly measurable alcohol content of less than 1/2 of 1%. It can be sold like children can buy it, so it can't have even something that would register as an alcoholic beverage. But anyway, so this is a SCOBY. This is my homemade SCOBY. I started with one from the downtown folks at the farmers market here in Lakeland, and just put it into a batch and then propagated it, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. It is interesting, to say the least. So now that we're under 170 degrees, we want to make sure that everything is super sanitized. So I'm going to hold this, I'm going to touch it. So I'm going to just sanitize my hands. Some people are a little iffy about doing that, but I've never had a problem doing it. And I'm just going to sanitize my scissors, because what I've ended up with here, I saved the entire SCOBY from the last batch. When you put this in, I'm going to put about 1/3 of this in, but when you put this in, after about a week, 6, 7, 8 days, you have whatever you put in there is floating on the top, and it looks like a mushroom. It's bizarre looking. It is something that when I've done it in a wider bucket, it gets wider and a little thinner. When I put it into a bucket about this width, it stays a little thicker, but it covers the very top of it. My suspicion from having made sour beers is that it is doing a similar kind of thing as a pellicle, which is a little barrier that forms on the top of the liquid, as I think it tries to naturally keep oxygen from exchanging into the liquid. Because I don't know, but that's what a pellicle does, is it keeps the oxygen from exchanging down into the liquid. And it's kind of similar to a pellicle. It's gross. It's got bacteria in it, and in this case, I guess it has some yeast as well. So it looks like a mushroom or a jellyfish. So I'm going to kind of hold it up. And this thing, it sort of has a roundish look to it. I think mainly because the bucket was round. I think if you put it in a square-shaped object, it would form a square. So that's kind of what it's like. So it's pretty interesting looking. But from having done this a couple times, this is a real healthy SCOBY. I'm going to cut this in thirds. I'm just going to get rid of it because you can only have so much of it. I've got 5 gallons already out back, and this is going to be another 5 gallons. So I'm just going to sanitize my scissors, and I'm just going to cut this. You can see it's kind of on the gross side here. It's between a mushroom and a jellyfish is the best way to describe it. So I have remnants of it. I'm just going to compost this in my compost tumbler. So this is what it looks like. That's a nice healthy SCOBY. You might not know that unless you've seen one before, but that's what they look like. And in it goes. So I'm just going to pop it right into the tea. It's 80 degrees. That should be good fermentation temperature. You're going to keep this at room temperature for the first part of the fermentation. Pretty simple. Now, I do want air to exchange. I have not put a traditional top on this before with a bubbler. I don't think that gives you the air exchange and the oxygenation that grows the SCOBY. It's possible that would work. I just don't know. So I've learned to do it this way by keeping a pretty open air exchange off the top. And the way I do that is by putting cheesecloth across the top. So I've got some cheesecloth here, just soaking it in my star sand. And now I'm going to stretch this out over the top of the bucket and then hold it down with rubber bands. So I don't like that one. It's a small piece. Here's the big piece. So I've saved this. I just rinsed it out, made sure it was pretty clean, and then just saved it in the star sand. So I'm going to get this to go over the top like this. I'm going to put another layer across. This is fine. This kind of it keeps the fruit flies out. I think this is one of the main benefits of having the cheesecloth. They love it. They will gather around the outside of the bucket, but I haven't yet found one inside of the kombucha, so I think it works pretty well. This is doubled over, so I think I can stretch it out. One more layer, I'm not sure. Well, it won't matter. I'll just double it up like this. And then got a couple big rubber bands. Right along the top. Put it in a fairly dark place, room temperature, and our house will be, I can tell you, tonight 78 degrees, so that's perfect. It will not change too much from that over the next week or so, and I'll come back and either show this to you live at our meeting on the 4th or record it ahead if I can't be there and show you the next step. But that's really easy because what I'll do is I'll siphon this out into a keg. Put it in, leave it out for a couple days. It self-carbonates. It'll be super fizzy just because it continues to ferment, but you seal it off so it doesn't have the oxygen exchange. You can't get out of the keg, and then you can cold crash that in your keyser or wherever you want to put it, and then push it out with CO2. So it's really pretty straightforward. If you've got home brewing equipment, you can make a kombucha, or in our case, a homebucha. Okay, thanks. Bye.